Hey guys, welcome to another episode of me talking to myself in my room, alone, in the middle of the motherfucking apocalypse. Half naked.
It's the end of the world!
It's good to be here. It's been a while since we last spoke, and in the interim there's been some big changes. Big changes. Not least of which being my channel name for the 10 millionth time. Yes, I've decided to change it to unredacted, and with good reason. Number one being that I'm a pretentious cunt. And just building on that, I see unredacted as a modern way of saying apocalypse. See, I told you I was pretentious. An apocalypse in the ancient Greek translated to revelation in English, an unveiling, an uncovering of the truth. And the way I see it, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of fake news. So I thought, why not throw my head in the ring and muddy the waters just that little bit more? And I say that only half jokingly, because who can know anything for sure? I don't know. Nobody knows. And that's half the fun. So my aim is to try and understand why
we do what we do when we do what we do.
And perhaps more audaciously, to understand what we should do. Maybe a fool's errand, but I'm going to give it a good shot. Now, ironically, much of this video will be redacted, and to redact means to cover something up or to censor it, and to unredact obviously means the opposite of that. And the reason being is because I'm incapable of speaking extemporaneously for 10 minutes and 1 second in the vain hope of one day monetizing this channel. It's not part of my skill set at the moment, but we shall get there. So pretend it's like 2010 and we're going to have like 10 million jump cuts. Otherwise, I'm going to be trailing off like Joe Biden and fucking yelling obscenities and non sequiturs into the void.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. You're full of shit.
So I'll save you the pain. Introduction done. So let's start at the epicenter of all this madness.
China.
Oh yes, China. And just to get us going, let's examine a tidbit out of China as dubious origins. May be a lie, and there may be some meta-commentary in that previous statement. But allegedly, there's this apocryphal Chinese character that has a double meaning. Both means danger, or crisis, and opportunity. Now, I've scoured the internet, and apparently that's a mistranslation of some Chinese character. The character in question just means crisis or danger. But you know the old saying, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. There may also be some meta-commentary in that statement. But nonetheless, let's keep the apocryphal Chinese-related stories going. Apocryphal meaning bullshit, but they're great stories. And this particular iteration is a misattributed proverb, an ancient Chinese curse that says, may you live in interesting times. And oh boy howdy, did things just get motherfucking interesting. We just entered a new paradigm. We just don't know exactly what it is yet. So let's try and find out.
On a long enough timeline, the survival rate for everyone drops to 0.
It's the nature and disposition of our species to try and seek out comfort, safety, security. And this makes perfect sense. We have a basic survival instinct. We're very fragile compared to a lot of other things in the universe. If we're not careful, we end up dead. And so we try to mitigate risk to the best of our ability. Now, the thing about mitigating risk is that you can never eliminate risk altogether. You can take calculated risks, you can reduce risk to a degree. But as long as you're alive, there's always a good chance that one day you'll be fucking dead.
It's too risky, it's too risky.
Every man dies. Not every man really lives.
So I guess the only way to really mitigate risk is to accept the fact that risk is just a part of everyday life, and to try and understand what risks are associated with different actions that we might take. And collectively, we've taken an unprecedented step into the unknown.
What is it?
I don't know.
Everybody panic!
I just want one pack. No, not one pack.
A huge risk, no doubt. We've decided to lock down half the world. 3 billion people have gone into self-imposed self-isolation. And some people think that we're all sheep. And yeah, there's some truth to that. But I also think that it's quite beautiful in some ways, that we've all decided to come together and try and reduce the suffering of others by imposing a little bit of suffering on ourselves. I think that's a noble gesture. But along with that come some risks that we need to be aware of. And of course, I'm not the first person to bring this up. It's pretty obvious. Some of the consequences that may come about because of what's going on right now. I mean, it's worth considering that in so-called civilized jails, self-isolation is the worst punishment that you can give someone. And we've all taken it on willingly. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. In Australia alone, domestic violence rates are up already. Alcohol sales have spiked. Depression will no doubt increase. There's a whole lot of terrible fucking consequences that may potentially arise because of this bold step that we've taken. I mean, if it goes on for long enough, people are going to run out of money, they're going to be desperate, they're going to be hungry. And so petty crime will probably increase as well. Last time there was a Great Depression in the United States, suicide rates were at their highest. And there is definitely a relationship between economic prosperity and suicide. So as a measure to try and save lives, we could end up costing the lives of some people. That's the trade-off. That's the risk that we run by doing this. And also, we've walked into a totalitarian wet dream.
I see everything!
Civil liberties have been encroached upon just like that. Somebody signed a piece of paper, and now it's illegal to go outside except for a few certain specific reasons. That's a big change to our lifestyle. Now, the thing that concerns me the most is that the last time that emergency powers were granted with the Patriot Act,
Today we take an essential step in defeating terrorism while protecting the constitutional rights of all Americans.
those emergency powers were never revoked. And I hope and pray that this time will be different, but I'm not exactly optimistic about the prospect. So to summarize, we've jumped off a financial cliff. Economically, we will suffer. Psychologically, this will take a toll. And our personal freedoms have been diminished. We're in for a rough time. So what's the good news? What's the silver lining here? What is the opportunity that is presented before us as a result of the madness that is taking place? That's a tough one. I guess we could say, at the very least, that we have pierced the veil to some degree. If it wasn't blatantly obvious before, we're playing a game, a highly volatile game, a game that was unsustainable from the start. Our system for organizing human effort was a bubble that was always going to burst. Now, I didn't think that we'd rupture it so willingly, but here we are. Infinite growth, or continual growth at least, is impossible on a finite planet. But as I said, our eyes have been opened.
Mine eyes have seen the glory.
The architecture of oppression.
We can see that this is a game. The players sitting at the top of the pyramid, still benefiting themselves to a degree. So there's this $2.2 trillion bill that was passed. Most of the money going to big business, of course. Too big to fail, and I guess if you're a regular everyday Joe, Hello, birds. You're too little to matter. It was this 1,400-page document, and I'm sure that was just whipped up overnight. There's no way that was just sitting on the shelf, waiting to be unleashed on an unsuspecting public at an opportune time. Oh, you agree with me? Cool. So yes, the main thing that we can say, the opportunity that lies ahead of us, is that we have seen what we're all capable of when we join forces together, when we direct our effort towards one particular aim. As Adam Smith put it, humans are animals that make deals. And we've implicitly or even explicitly agreed to this particular deal, the draconian measures and restrictions that have been enforced and enacted by different governments across the world. And it will be very interesting to see how this plays out. We are at a crossroads. We can keep heading down the same road that we've been heading for the last who knows how fucking long, towards a police state, towards 1984, or we can take the road less traveled. Interesting times indeed. Opportunity and danger. Both of those are waiting for us on the horizon.
I come back to you now, at the turn of the tide.
Good luck out there, peeps. Until next time. Party on, dudes.
Crises are always exploited by political actors to gain authorities that would otherwise be forbidden to them. And we can understand, as people who are impacted by these policies, that there can be benefits. But at the point these policies are being sought, these benefits are theoretical. Often there is no evidence for them, and they may never materialize. But the consequences of granting these authorities are inevitable. There has never been a moment in history where we have created what is being stood up today, a system where a government, any government, can know the location of every person at every time. This is the architecture of oppression.
Hi. If you're interested in the impending collapse of civilization and the utter destruction of humanity, please smash that bell, like, subscribe and comment below. Thanks.